Have you ever thought about how a simple game like cricket can teach us some of the biggest lessons about life? Today we're diving into just that, how the challenges we face on the field, or really anywhere, are way more important than just winning or losing. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a feeling I'm pretty sure we've all had. You know, that raw frustration after a really bad day, where it feels like absolutely nothing went your way.
Sound familiar? This is that voice of defeat, right? It's that moment you look at the scoreboard, you see the failure in black and white, and you just think, what was the point of all that? It's a totally human reaction. But you know what? It's also a trap, one that can keep us from ever really growing.
You know, there's a brilliant Hindi saying for this exact mindset. "Aa bel mujhe maar." Literally, it translates to "come bowl, hit me." It perfectly describes that habit of walking into a tough situation completely unprepared and then acting all surprised and upset when, well, you get run over. That's the first hurdle we've got to clear.
So let's just challenge that whole idea. What if we're looking at this all wrong? What if the scoreboard is actually the least important part of the story? What if the real value isn't in the final score, but somewhere else entirely?
All right, so let's try on a new way of thinking. What if we reframed every single challenge not as a simple pass or fail moment, but as something much deeper, something like an open question exam?
Think about it like this. Every match, every tough project, every bad day, it's an exam. But it's not a multiple choice test where you can just memorize the answers. No, it's an open question exam, and its whole purpose is to see how you think on your feet when problems you never saw coming get thrown at you.
And this is where it gets really interesting. If every game is an exam, then what are the questions? Well, turns out they're usually hidden in plain sight, disguised as the very things we tend to complain about.
See, the questions aren't just about your opponent's skill. They're about the real world. That pitch that changes halfway through the day, the bumpy ground, the not-so-great facilities. These aren't just excuses for a bad performance, they are the exam questions. They're the hard problems you're being asked to solve. So here's the big shift in thinking. When we blame the conditions, when we say, the ground was bad, what we're really admitting is, I saw the exam paper, but I chose not to study for the tough questions. We're choosing to stay unprepared instead of rising to the challenge.
And that realization brings us to a fork in the road. It presents us with a really fundamental choice in how we respond, not just in a game of cricket, but in pretty much every tough situation we're ever going to face.
So you've got two paths. On one side, there's the passive approach. That's where you're just waiting for an easy win, that loose ball, while complaining about how tough things are. But then, on the other side, you've got the active approach. That's deciding to raise your game, to actually develop the skills to succeed even when the pitch is terrible. It's the difference between hoping things get easier and deciding to get better.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? If your whole strategy is just hoping someone else messes up, you're going to be waiting a very long time. Real progress comes from what you do.
Now, this choice we've been talking about, it goes so much deeper than just winning a single game. The path you pick actually starts to shape the kind of person you become.
It's really that simple. How you decide to tackle those hard questions, the unexpected challenges, doesn't just reveal your character. It's the very thing that builds it. It forges resilience and discipline and courage.
You know, we can see these two paths perfectly in a classic story from the Mahabharata. On one side, you have Arjuna, the student, the warrior who is always hungry to learn, always focused, always growing. And on the other side, you have his own teacher, Dronacharya, the master who at some point just stops learning. All he can do is talk about his past glories because for him, his own game is over.
And that's the real prize here. The stats, the wins, they all fade eventually. But the character you build by facing down challenges with that learner's mindset, that sticks with you forever.
Okay, so let's bring this all back home. Let's take this lesson off the cricket pitch and apply it directly to our own lives, to our own tough days and unexpected challenges.
I mean, that's the one thing we can probably count on, right? Whether it's a difficult project at work or a tough conversation at home, the idea of a perfect situation, it's a total myth. The real world is messy. It's unpredictable.
So knowing that these challenges are coming, how do we change our thinking at the end of a hard day? Instead of asking, why was that so bad, there's a much more powerful question we should be asking ourselves. And here it is. This is the question that turns failure into fuel. It transforms a bad day from a dead end into a blueprint for the future. It's not about the score, you see? It's about what you learned. And that is a game you can always win.